Hello, boys, girls, and fellow intellectuals. This is Reason, that voice in your head you should listen to.
And I'm 2 Cents, and today we'll be going over a video titled How Capitalism Keeps People Down, and dispelling the substantial amount of misinformation in this video.
Disclaimer: this video might end up being another rant on Social Democrats, however, I still feel like I should talk about this. So excuse me if there are some points that are being repeated from the older one, but I feel like this has a place in this video. Capitalism has a lot of tools that it can use to discourage the proletariat from organizing. This can range from strictly forbidding the proletariat to organize, to the point of making them not want to organize.
Capitalism can't force the proletariat to do anything. How can a system where people voluntarily exchange goods and services force anything? What you're talking about is government, which as an ANCAP, I oppose as well.
You have to remember that most commies believe that corporatism is capitalism and that the crimes of government are the fault of capitalism. They have to strawman our position because they can't find a fault in our actual position.
And while you could probably make several videos talking about the tools of the capitalists, I will just talk about 5 for the sake of convenience. Just with the recent repeal of net neutrality in the US.
Okay, I'm going to make a prediction here. Nothing he's about to say is even going to be relevant to capitalism, since democracy is not capitalism. Capitalism is an economic system based on private property and the voluntary exchange of goods and services. Democracy is a government system that is little more than mob rule. Heck, the US government, which he is about to criticize, isn't even a democracy. It's a republic. Not that I support republics either, but this guy has his definition so wrong it's embarrassing.
Also, I thought communists want a democracy. Most of them I've argued with say they do, so I feel bringing up this kind of contradicts the very system they want. But then again, you run into plenty of contradictions when you debate against a Marxist ideology.
We have a nice example of just how little consideration the bourgeoisie democracy has for the working class.
Hi, I'm Ajit Pai. I'm the chairman of the FCC. Recently, there's been quite a bit of conversation about my plan to restore internet freedom.
Because while the proposal for the repeal of net neutrality had over 20 million comments and people have been calling their representatives for weeks, the vote still ended up being 3-2 against net neutrality, and that with active rallies outside the FCC council. So really, what bourgeoisie democracy is doing is spitting into people's faces. But that's just one example of Western democracy inside a Western country.
Oh yeah, those filthy bourgeoisie fought tooth and nail to get net neutrality repealed so that they can oppress the proletariat. Oh wait, some of the biggest supporters of net neutrality were giant tech corporations like Google and Facebook. I wonder why they would be for regulation that prevents competition amongst ISPs and possibly limits their ability to control the online consumer market. Do you even know what the free market is?
Don't forget Comcast, Verizon, and Twitter. They were on a mean streak pushing that crap down their customers' throats. Heck, even Twitter and Verizon used a bot to tweet pro-net neutrality propaganda through our pal Esoteric Entity's account, and Comcast even had an ad promoting it on Twitter as well as having it on their corporate website. So, simply put, either this guy's lying through his teeth or hasn't done his research.
Of course, you still have your shining examples of Western democracy, like the conflicts in the Middle East, where the US is constantly toppling dictatorships and nations that they either created, caused, or that only became a thing because the people of that nation wanted to oppose US imperialism, while allowing other nations that don't have Western democracy but are allied to the US to continue. Which is the reason why Islamic terrorists even exist, because Saudi Arabia is allowed to continue, but I think you understand where I'm going with this. The US is causing the conflicts in the Middle East. It's not the Middle East nations, it's just Western democracy, aka about 60 years of US imperialism.
Well, Reason, looks like you called it. He's trying to equate government with capitalism. Whether or not what he claims here is fact, and given the lack of citations, I'm not inclined to believe him, wars undertaken by a state have nothing to do with voluntary transactions in a free market. In fact, as an anarcho-capitalist, I explicitly condemn the initiation of force unprovoked. Don't blame capitalism for what only a state can do.
I think I'll establish my own law. Reason's law. A Marxist ideologue that attacks capitalism will always attempt to strawman it with the wrongdoings of the state.
Laughably enough, nowadays people are quite aware that big government doesn't really care about them. And I'm not just talking about the US government, which is taking away basic necessities on a monthly basis, but also how people just take it for granted that democracy is really nothing more besides electing your leaders every 4 years and not really having a say in anything else.
I completely agree. Democracy sucks. In fact, statism sucks, as any government requires the initiation of force against peaceful people in order to exist. But what's your solution? Oh, I know! Let's give complete and unconditional power to the government to redistribute wealth. Big government doesn't care about the people, but they will if we give them absolute power.
And you know what the funniest part about that solution is? When you ask how everyone will get a say in this system, you know what their answer will be?
Democracy.
Exactly. I have yet to hear any other answer than that.
So to sum this up before it gets too overcomplicated for this video, democracy is really just a buzzword to boost the West's ego. As we all know, Karl Marx claimed that religion was an opiate of the people used by the current elites to distract the proletariat from their earthly problems. This worked really well because for centuries people were spending a huge part of their free time with religion. And while this idea might be a huge stretch to some people, I think that you can consider entertainment an opiate as well. Because really it has the same effect for some people. If not most people, because people just distract themselves of their problems and struggles in life by entertaining themselves, be it movies, be it video games, be it social media, be it books or sports or whatever. And the capitalist industry also makes sure that there's an oversupply of entertainment to fulfill that need. And while I don't want to sound like a crazy conspiracist that thinks all entertainment is a capitalist tool to stop people from organizing, I just wanted to point out that in a way, even if it is unintentional, entertainment is a modern opiate of the people. And so, in a way, the capitalist entertainment industry is also upholding capitalism in some way by oversupplying entertainment. But keep in mind, when I say that entertainment is a modern opium, I'm not saying that everyone who enjoys entertainment is just an idiot. That would be ridiculous to say. What I'm saying here is that people turn to entertainment and to opiates out of sheer pain of existence. Therefore, we should not start some war on entertainment, but just make things better so that the pain of existence isn't as bad and is limited to personal struggles or similar.
Okay, I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist either, but I can't remember the last movie or TV show I saw that had anything remotely positive to say about capitalism. Oh right, all the Hollywood elites are ardent socialists who use the Golden Globes and other platforms to virtue signal about how progressive they are. So Hollywood is totally a tool of capitalist propaganda.
This point is pretty laughable, seeing as human beings prefer to occupy their time rather than sit there in boredom. Have you ever seen a kid before? They don't have jobs, yet they can't sit there and stay quiet and not be bored. Human beings are wired to seek stimulus, be it video games, movies, board games, drugs, etc. It's not about suffering, dude. It's about entertainment, and the reason why there's an ample supply of things to entertain us is there is an ample demand and the profit incentive that comes with that demand. Basic economics.
Now I'm sure that at least by this point some capitalists are gonna come out of their holes and call me names because I am talking about propaganda. And quite honestly, I'm just waiting for someone to go like, what do you mean capitalist propaganda? There is no such thing as capitalist propaganda. Only authoritarian ideologies need propaganda to survive. But really, I couldn't care less, because these people just show how fixated and how indoctrinated some people are about capitalism. Like, they don't even put it into question, they just believe anything that capitalists tell them.
Oh yeah, we capitalists totally believe everything we're told. Right, Reason? I mean, we don't back up our claims with evidence or hard data, and we don't advocate that people be free to express their opinions no matter how much we might disagree. We think that everyone who disagrees with us should be censored and ultimately killed. Oh, wait.
Way to dig yourself a hole, comrade.
And guess what? That's living proof that capitalist propaganda and capitalist indoctrination is a thing. And obviously, any political or economic movement will present themselves as the factually best thing. Otherwise, why would you support it in the first place? But whether or not you can back up the claims you make in your propaganda is up to the ideology. In the case of communism, we had quite some countries and quite some literature to back this up. And in fact, Karl Marx has developed modern materialism as its own science to back this up. Meanwhile, capitalists can just abuse the media to deceive people about communism however they want. For example, it has been established that Joseph Stalin was a genocidal person, or that Pol Pot was somehow a communist. Or if we take a look at the internet, we can literally see how capitalist YouTube channels are trying to paint the picture that literally the founders of fascism were Marxists, even more so socialists, which is completely contradictory considering that fascism is in a way the vanguard of the bourgeoisie.
Oh, really? Well, can you provide a citation for that statement? I thought we're the ones who don't back up our claims with facts and evidence. For the record, that PragerU video that you have on the screen is linked to a whole page of academic citations. Where are yours?
Oh, he has links to 2 music videos and 1 article on Ajit Pai joking about being brainwashed by Verizon, and a page speculating what ISPs could do, even though these things could still be done even when Title II was in place, and a link to another comrade's video. Oh, for fuck's sakes, he didn't even put the video under the correct category.
So, none?
Looks like it, and you know what happens to claims without evidence.
However, I think you see that capitalist propaganda is definitely a thing. I think it's pretty clear to most people that social democrats are, despite the social in their name, still capitalists. And I think I have explained that in my previous videos already.
Social democrats are capitalists? The ones like Bernie Sanders who advocate stealing others' rightfully owned property and redistributing it through big government programs? That's so capitalist of them. Not.
That statement was so stupid, I lost brain cells. You know claiming something doesn't automatically make it reality, right? Of course not. That's why you idiots claim food and water and a comfortable life are right. Time for a reality check.
So therefore, let me go on to the next point. And that is, welfare states and social democracy are the pillars of capitalism. As a matter of fact, the first welfare state was created as a countermeasure to socialism's rising popularity in Germany. Ironically enough, the social democrats that were targeted by this welfare state actually ended up adopting this bourgeoisie way of politics, which is having welfare capitalism rather than actual socialism. So, as you can see, welfare capitalism and in turn social democracy is one of the strongest counter-revolutionary ideologies. Now, if you want a more historic insight about how welfare capitalism was invented in Germany, there's a video by Democratic Socialists that I will put in the video description. And you should probably check that video out because it makes it really easy to understand how Social Democrats are counter-revolutionary. Additionally, I think it's very nice to see how social democracy, which is adding socialist aspects to capitalism, is one of the very few things that keeps capitalism together. And it just proves the point that the proletariat wants socialism in the long run.
Are you kidding me? The welfare state is grounded in the notion that people deserve things simply for existing, and regardless of whether or not they earned it. This is precisely the underlying notion that drives socialism, whether it involves communal ownership of the means of production or not. Bottom line, a massive welfare state and socialism, as you envision it, both suffer from the same problems. They require a totalitarian state, and they positively destroy any incentives to work hard or efficiently.
They also violate the rights of others through arbitration, as the rights you advocate for are positive in nature. Also, you can't just take two mutually exclusive systems and mash them together. Capitalism is a system of voluntary exchange of goods and services between private individuals or entities. Socialism is an involuntary collectivization of the means of production for wealth redistribution. You can't just mix a voluntary system with an involuntary system, as once there's arbitration, it no longer becomes voluntary. In other words, you're full of shit, comrade.
Now, to come to a conclusion, one of the easiest and arguably most popular ways to make people not want socialism is to just ridiculously call everything you disagree with or anything the government does socialism.
Ironic, since you've spent most of this video calling everything the government does capitalism.
The funniest part about what he just said is we don't call everything the government does socialist. Just whatever it takes from the private sector and subsidizes, such as healthcare, welfare, security, and housing. I could keep going, but we'd be here for a while, but you get the point. And whenever government wraps its tentacles around a private industry, that industry suffers, as we can see with Obamacare and the healthcare industry.
Fascism? Definitely socialist. Sweden? It's practically the new USSR. Obama? He wants healthcare. He's practically Stalin. I think you can see where this is going. Sadly, however, especially in the USA, this kind of arguing is very prominent and very often taken for granted, which means that America has a hard time taking any steps towards a better change. However, we are still talking about the American political spectrum here, and unless there is a really big economic crisis on the horizon, it is unlikely that America will make any changes for the better anyway, given its long history as a capitalist and imperialist force. Therefore, the chances that socialism will be widely accepted in America in the near future are fairly slim.
Well, one can only hope. But unfortunately, the amount of Bernie supporters that keep coming out of the woodwork doesn't give me hope. However, if worse comes to worse, socialists will learn that their system doesn't work by reality, not by argument. Honestly, I'm baffled by how there can still be so many ardent socialists in the world, considering its universal failure rate worldwide. But wait, the USSR wasn't real socialism, right? Neither is Venezuela or Cuba. Alas, sometimes only experiencing the failure of an idea firsthand can convince someone that something doesn't work. So if full-blown socialism does come to the US, I'd say the US will get exactly what it deserves.
Let's hope they see me before that can become a reality.
Well, that brings us to the end of the video. I hope you all enjoyed this collaboration. If you did, please like and share. And if you haven't already, subscribe to me and my good buddy, Listen to Reason. And if you'd like to support us further, we both have Patreon pages.
And remember to stay reasonable, and that if it's government, it's not capitalism, and Marx can eat a dick.